Dreaming.
All right.
Oh, hello, everybody.
Hello.
Let me tell you what. I waited until we were on the live stream to embarrass Justin Robert Young. Justin Robert Young, politics is my favorite way to keep up with what's going on, where I can just hear it from someone who gives it an entertaining spin, tells me what I need to know, and then I don't feel bad about the world.
Can I float some? We've been trying to come up with some one-liners to describe the show.
Yeah.
So here's just a couple. You guys let me know which ones you like. Make politics tolerable again.
Okay. Yeah.
Not your racist uncle's politics podcast.
Okay. Yeah.
This one I don't know if this is we have a little bit of a difference on language between the two shows, but I'm just here for the poop show. With the
S word instead. Yeah.
Exactly. The smartest dumb show about politics.
Ooh, that's good.
Or scandal, sedition, statistics.
Smartest dumb show about politics is good. And what was the second one you said?
Not your racist uncle's politics podcast.
That one's a little edgier, but I like that one too.
Isn't there something you could do off the triple P theme?
Yeah.
Well, Sarah, some shows talk about politics. Other shows talk about politics. Some other shows even talk about politics, but only one show talks about all three. That's
my point.
Yeah. No, that's the tagline to the show. That's the way we end the show. I like to talk about we as if other people do the show. It's literally just me braying like a mule.
The other thing I like is your opening tags. I may start taking some tips from that.
The pre.
Yeah. The promos for your newsletter and all that.
Yeah. I was good for a little bit about recording them, but then I stopped being good about it. Although I'm going to have to record another one because I always forget things. I'm not really good at advertising my own stuff. And I need to remember that I do have a show coming up on March 1st in San Francisco. So I got to make sure that I get all those details right so people know where to go.
Justin, when you were in Japan, you were in the Nagano region, correct?
I was, yes. I went
and saw monkeys and, it was snowing and cold and everything. I've actually been there. I liked it a lot. I thought it was one of my favorite parts of Japan.
Yeah, I love, aside from the fact that walking up to go see the snow monkeys, I busted my butt 5 times. I slipped and fell on the ice 5 times. Pro tip, if you're not used to walking on ice, many of our northern friends are, even though I went to school in Syracuse for a couple years, I've spent the vast majority of my life in Texas, California, and Florida, not known for their sheets of ice. They do sell little cleat things that you can attach onto your shoes that make it easier to walk. But other than that, no, I thought it was great. We had an amazing time up there. We stayed at the onsen, which is the more traditional Japanese.
Hey, Roger. Sorry to interrupt. You don't have me selected or something.
Oh, I do. I do have selected. Sorry.
Because Justin was talking, and on the live stream was just me looking at myself.
But yeah, no, I thought it was fantastic. And the snow monkey thing was amazing. I was not prepared for how perfect
cool that actually is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally get it. Yeah, that sounds so fun. Jealous.
When did you go out there?
2012. It's been a while.
Yeah.
All right. It's 1:30.
Really fun though. Okay. All right.
Everybody ready?
Let's go.
Ready.
Let's do this. 3, 2.
What's that? You want to give back some value for the value you get out of Daily Tech News Show? No problem. Just head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support to find out how.
This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, January 18th, 2018 from DTNS headquarters in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline, I am Sarah Lane.
And from Oakland, California, I'm Justin Robert Young.
Also in the house is our producer, Roger Chang. Roger, did you know that we don't have onesies in our DTNS store, but we might soon? You could buy one.
That would be awesome. I might be able to take advantage of it.
Rich Straffolino said,
not my daughter.
Not your daughter. You wanted full size. Dave Michael said he might not be able to get adult size, but kid size could be coming.
Oh.
And they would say born ready. Get it? Because kids.
Ah.
Right. All right. Let's start with a few tech things you should know then.
Uber's $8.8 billion deal with SoftBank has closed, meaning that SoftBank is now Uber's biggest shareholder. Rajiv Misra, who's a board director of SoftBank and now also on the Uber board, told the Financial Times that Uber would have a faster path to profitability if it returned to its core markets in the US, Europe, Latin America, and Australia.
Certainly seems to dovetail with them kind of pulling out of Asia. Apple told Mac rumors that a fix is coming next week for the malicious link that can freeze the iOS Messages app. Apple CEO Tim Cook also told ABC News that Apple will soon give users a notification when a phone's battery gets to the point that Apple feels slowing down performance will prevent unwanted reboots. It will then allow users to turn off that feature if they like to live dangerously.
Just give us the choice, though. Just give us the choice. Let us make the mistake. Intel says in the course of investigating problems with Spectre meltdown patches that were causing reboots in its older Broadwell and Haswell chips, it sort of discovered that it can cause reboots in the newer Skylake and Kaby Lake chips as well. So they're working on that. Engadget says Intel VP Nevin Shenoy claims they are very close to identifying the root issue, and they expect to have beta microcode to vendors for validation by next week.
Microsoft is promoting Minecraft head Matt Booty, spelled like it sounds, to head of Microsoft Studios, where he will oversee all games. Booty will report to Phil Spencer, who is head of Microsoft's gaming division.
That's a everybody's getting boosted up. Phil Spencer just got boosted up. Now let's get into some more top stories. And jury, Nintendo's selling us cardboard.
They sure are. Nintendo announced a new product called Labo, which allows users to assemble pre-made cardboard attachments for the Nintendo Switch that can then be made or used to create remote-controlled robots, a small piano, and more. Starting April 20th, blaze it. You'll be able to buy 2 Labo kits. The $70 variety kit contains an RC car, a fishing rod, a house, a motorbike, and a piano. And an $80 robot kit lets you build an interactive robot suit with a visor, backpack, and straps for your head and feet, which lets you control an in-game robot.
Okay, so I did not catch the connection between crawling around on the floor with cardboard and toys and putting this thing out at 420. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
And also, it's listed as $70 here, but on the website, it is $69.99. Nice.
Very good. Very good.
What is the significance of Labo?
You mean the name?
Yeah.
You know, what is the significance of Nintendo names? The Wii? I guess the Switch is because you can switch it up from being on the TV and back. That one makes sense. Is it just like laboratory? Like
yeah,
yeah, okay. Yeah,
in the lab, you create things. This is a maker toy. And the first thing that I looked at when I saw this is for parents who don't necessarily want to buy very expensive peripherals for a thing like the Switch, but also are kind of worried that their kids are a little too screen time focused. This is a huge thing with parents these days, and this gives them a little bit of a middle wiggle room. Who knows if it'll work, but the idea that there's a tactile element, there's a creative element. Now, all of a sudden, something that is very plain can become very complicated and then added on by way of the Switch, really using the Switch as an accessory to a different maker toy is a fascinating idea. Who knows if it'll be successful, but I think it's definitely Nintendo at its most bold.
Let me interject. As a parent, this actually looks incredibly compelling because it takes advantage of existing hardware you have, but it implements it in a way that you're right. I'm not now worried about my kid looking just at a screen in order to manipulate the product. Right now, it's something that they can touch, real life. Right, no glasses, no nothing. It's an actual real world physical toy that they can deal with, but they can, through their own, efforts, manipulate it and alter and, play with it. And it's kind of cool because typically you would need to buy a separate toy or kit or some sort of, Lego Mindstorm or something to do something equivalent. I think this thing is great.
Well, and if you haven't seen the video yet and you're not quite understanding what we're talking about, you kind of have to look at it because I think the one that really got through to me was the piano. So you've got a flat piece of cardboard, you unfold it until it becomes a piano, then you put the switch in at sort of the top so that the keys can be read by it. You put the microcontrollers instead of on the sides, instead of on the sides of the actual Switch console, they go in the sides of the piano, and then the movement is read. It's the accelerometer that's going, but it knows what the position is. So when you press the keys, it's like they're playing a piano. It's almost magical. If you're not thinking about it too hard. And then there's, the fishing reel allows you to see fish on the screen and pull it up, et cetera, et cetera.
Here's the biggest thing. At sub $100, Nintendo, it's cardboard that they're running out in sheets and poking pre-tear holes in. It's not going to cost them a lot of money. And at sub 100, I think that they're hoping this is a no-brainer purchase for any kid with the Switch. Specifically, if it becomes popular, it's going to be, well, of course, it's under $100. The kid will love it. You can get a bunch of use out of it. I don't know. There's something about it that says to me like this could be a gigantic hit.
I mean, I definitely see a lot of copycat products in the future for phones, for tablets, something where you don't necessarily.
This is a bit of a copycat of the Google Cardboard, right? It's doing a whole lot more with it than Google Cardboard did. But that was kind of the idea of like, we won't do high quality materials, but we'll take advantage of form factor, and that's what Nintendo's playing on.
Well, Roger, before we move on, since you got the little kid in the group, what of this do you think that would be the most valuable, I guess, to a little kid?
I think the most valuable aspect is that they can play with it, but they're not playing with a controller. It really depends on the kid, right? Like my daughter's at the stage where she has a bunch of big Lego blocks and all she does is throw them at my head. But there will be a point in time where she start to assemble them like she does with her dolls. She'll put them in a row or she'll put them to bed. There are things that you do when you interact with an environment and you understand one causality, right? I do one thing and it affects something else. And I think that's very important. And really, this is in many ways kind of a 21st century adaptation of the whole Radio Shack radio kit you used to get for a kid, right? You spend $50 and, a kid could take wires and plug them into this giant cardboard box with electrical leads, and they could build like a simple radio or a simple, metal detector or something like that. The 101 science projects kits that they used to sell.
Yeah. And it's $60 is the price of a video game that gives you the video game. This is multiple pieces of software for a little bit more, $70 or $80. And you get accessories and you get tactile objects like you're saying, Roger, that they can physically interact with and that are softer when they throw them at you.
Yeah. Two things also for people that are not kids. One of the most popular SNES perip styles was light gun. That it's been a huge part of Nintendo stuff. It seems that there's going to be some element of that in the Labo, as well as the bass fishing rod. And speaking of the Google Cardboard, that robot game is you looking through a Google Cardboard device and then using a backpack to kind of mimic your movement. So
it's essentially cool VR, that robot one. Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
All right. on from fun toys to falling prices. The value of Bitcoin has dropped to 50% of its 2017 peak. It's below $10,000. Other cryptocurrencies have also seen dives in their value. Tuesday, crypto exchange BitConnect shut down amid accusations of running a Ponzi scheme with their own BCC currency. And there are other things undermining confidence in Bitcoin as well. Governments have been taking more adversarial stances against cryptocurrencies. The Verge's Simon Chandler noted the US SEC pressed charges against Plexcore over an ICO. Then a week later, the SEC chairman Clayton issued a warning on cryptocurrencies, saying you should beware. We're not sure these are safe. China has cracked down further on cryptocurrency trading, and South Korea has been indicating its government may restrict or even outright ban cryptocurrency trading. Seems like Japan is really the only friendly country out there for cryptocurrencies right now.
Hey, look, the days of milk and honey couldn't last forever, at least in this current run. A lot of cryptocurrency true believers will tell you that this is a buying opportunity, possibly one that we will not see again if it's sub $10,000. But obviously just growing pains for what is still at its heart an intensely controversial idea. Money without government will always be something that governments take a skeptical look at.
You know, there are a lot of people, certainly people in the tech industry and people that I know who have lost quite a bit of money over the last week. And, you know, it's not a good thing necessarily, but I feel like we're finally getting to the point with cryptocurrency where we're understanding more about it because the hysteria has taken a dip, to the point where people are like, okay, party's over. What's really going on here? And like, how can this actually be incorporated into, yes, governments and financial institutions and that sort of thing. Not happy that people lost a lot of money, but it was bound to happen.
Yeah. And look, exactly. If you did not profit take at the point that it was doing what it was doing at the end of last year and validating all of Tom's predictions, then welcome to investment, right? Like that's the idea. When it is overperforming at that level of volatility, take a little out, treat yourself. You don't need to go.
Well, this is what volatility looks like, right? And Bitcoin has died a million deaths. This is not the first time it's crashed. The question people are saying now is, with governments starting to take note and start to talk against it, will this be the time it can't recover? And who knows? Nobody knows until it either doesn't recover and goes away, or recovers and either, bounces back or surpasses its previous highs or doesn't. We don't know what level it's going to reach. And it's so volatile because it is unregulated. So there's the one argument that, hey, it's a free and open exchange. It's going to take a while for enough people to use it and enough bad things to happen that the market sort of settles it into a stable pattern, or it's going to have government regulation to stabilize, or it's just going to fall apart and it won't be a thing. Those are kind of the three main possibilities. And if anyone tells you they know which one is going to bear out, they're lying. Nobody knows.
Yeah, I mean, make a quick buck off crypto sounds great, but on the flip side, it's like there are folks that I know saying, well, I have all this, XRP, let's just say, and I want to, convert it into cash dollars. And it's like, it has to go through some wallet where it sits there for 10 days or something like that. And during that time, it might lose all of its value. So it's like, there's something to be said about financial institutions that are regulated, and, that's not what happens to you in that sense.
And maybe it won't need a financial institution, right? I still believe it's possible that if you let it go for 10 years, eventually after enough swings, like a stable market could coalesce around it without intervention, maybe, but also maybe not. And this is a grand experiment here, and it's interesting to watch.
Well, speaking of experiments, Spotify announced something called Spotlight, which will now include something called visual podcasts about news, politics, and entertainment, available in playlist form and featuring text, video, and photos. So, for example, if you're listening to a visual podcast, you might be listening to the audio version, but get a video pop-up to go alongside it. Partners at launch include BuzzFeed News, Cheddar, Gimlet Media, and Genius, and Spotify also has its own original content such as Spotify Singles and Viva Latino. Not familiar with either of those, but they sound interesting. Spotlight is US only for now, but looks to expand soon.
I thought the Bloomberg article, or maybe it was the TechCrunch article, I can't remember, took the positive spin of saying, hey, podcasting can benefit from more people encouraging its growth. And I don't disagree with that. On the other hand, when your main value is music and you've got a walled garden, you limit the appeal because at least, and maybe I'm just saying this because I'm not part of a network and I'm an independent, but when people ask for versions of Daily Tech headlines or Daily Tech news show in certain places, I have to say, well, they've got a wall up sometimes. They won't let us in, and Spotify is one of them.
The grand chase. How do we take the next step in podcasting? And we have long kind of lamented the fact that podcasting is hard to say. It's annoying to start one. It's annoying for people to find them. It's hard for people to understand them. We haven't.
Some people say it's annoying to listen to them.
Many people, think it's annoying to listen to them. And look, there's no set UI for how we enjoy them. That's still even very, very varied among the most popular players. The vast majority of podcasts are downloaded through Apple, and then when Apple made Apple Music, they decided to not make it a part of it. So it's like there's a million different reasons why podcasting is in the situation that it's in and is successful almost in spite of itself. Who knows? Spotify has taken it more seriously. They've put a time and effort into promoting it. I don't know if visual podcasts are anything more than all the usual suspects getting paid by a company so they can produce content that will probably not survive once they stop getting paid for it. But who knows? But
it's like, okay, think of DTNS, right? It's like, sure, for many people, this is an audio podcast, but we offer video because we know that that's valuable to at least a certain amount of people. So, when you think of it on that sense, it's like Spotify offering this is kind of an extension of what we're all familiar with as podcast producers.
But also
people sometimes like to watch.
Spotify wants you to
do, but if you want to, that's great. So, in that sense, I applaud this. But I'm not totally sure how many people will take advantage.
Well, Spotify wants you to do a lot more work, though. This is not just upload a video podcast. First of all, you have to get into their system somehow. You have to be approved by them.
You have to be
It's not like iTunes where you just have to submit. No, Spotify has to bless you. And once you're in, for this, they want you to create chapters and add things and do work, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but it's extra above and beyond just streaming the video.
Yeah, so. And right now they are paying people to do the work. We will see whether or not they will want to do the work if they see the benefit once that contract.
Well, but also, again, to go back to, what the rest of us are doing, I think that if we knew that work would be well spent and valuable to the audience, we would do it. Yeah. We just don't know that yet because it's still a young medium. Well,
but you could do up till now, there are some podcasts that will go to the trouble to do this because they think it's worth it, but most have not found it to be so.
We shall see. Here's something that you won't see on YouTube anymore if they have their way. YouTube announced that they will be removing videos and punishing creators who take part in the Tide Pod Challenge. If you are unaware of what the Tide Pod Challenge is, it dares you to eat a pod of concentrated Tide detergent, and
which you should not do.
Which is very bad, and has led to a spike in calls to the American Association of Poison Control Centers since it became trendy earlier this year. Really, 2018, riding into our lives on a horse called the Tide Pod Challenge. YouTube will issue anyone who posts a Tide Pod Challenge video one strike going forward if it is flagged by the community.
Do we know if Tide itself has been like, don't do this?
Yeah, no, there's a video on the story from Tide saying Tide Pods are for doing laundry. That's it.
That's it. Nothing else. They even employed New England Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski to illustrate that message for the young viewers. Look, it's a horrifying idea. It's really stupid, even as far as YouTube challenges go. This is dangerous. You almost don't even want to joke about it because there is really nothing funny with putting poison in your body for views.
You know,
if you want to get into their new partner program, you need watch time, and that's not really going to take all that long. And you might die and not be able to make the 400,000 hours of watch time that you need.
Yeah, there was another article kicking around today about oh, I'm hearing an echo on me. There, it's gone now. All right. There's another article kicking around today about burnout. Burnout in pursuit of views that several YouTube creators have been talking about. And I wonder if this is like a side symptom of it, where somebody's like, hey, I've got a funny idea. There's all these crazy YouTube challenges over the year. What if we do like eat a Tide Pod? Nobody will do that. And people are like, oh my gosh, I will do whatever for views. Like, sure. Right. Is that a symptom of that?
Well, and I'm trying to think of something like as disgusting as this. Can't come up with one, but I've seen Bros does come to mind, which is, it's 5 years old now, but it was the idea where it's like, if you present this bad liquor in front of somebody, they have to drink it on the spot. And if they don't, then, I don't know, it'll be a laughingstock or whatever, so it's like, yeah, I get that on the surface, these sorts of things are fun and everything, but I mean, why not just ingest battery acid? Like, you're going to kill yourself. Yeah.
Also, I'm allergic to Tide. Google's Project Fi mobile service will now cap its data bills at $60. So you still pay $20 a month for the service. But the way Google Fi has worked up until now is you pay $10 per gigabyte per month, no matter how many gigabytes you use. And you would get refund for any unused data at the end of the month. So if you didn't use the full gigabyte and you'd paid the $10, you get a refund for that. Well, Google's going to change it. First of all, they're going to start charging you at the end of the month for what you used, not making you pay at the beginning of the month and then refund you. And as soon as you hit 6 gigabytes, that's it. They're not going to charge you $10 for 7 or 8 or 9. In fact, you can go all the way to 15 gigabytes before they'll even do anything like throttle your speed. If you hit 15 gigabytes in a month and you start to slow down, you can choose to pay to unlock and get your normal speed back if you want.
This is great. And everybody I know that's on Project Fi really loves it. I think that this is Google kind of at their best, offering a consumer-friendly alternative in a traditionally consumer-unfriendly field. It feels kind of a downright Google Fiber-ish.
I mean, I'm on an unlimited, which is, not really unlimited, but unlimited grandfather plan with Verizon, which has been hiked up in price quite a bit over the last couple of years. For a while, it was, holding strong at about $80 a month. And I really thought I was getting away with murder. It's a lot more than that now. But something like, hey, considering what I actually am using per month, to cap it at 60 with another $10 if I need a little bit more at the same speed sounds really good. I mean, that's a better deal than I had in the first place.
It may not be the cheapest unlimited, but it's the most flexible and it's super appealing. The only problem with it is Project Fi, you really need to be using a Pixel phone, or, there's a limited number of phones that it works with. You can put the SIM card in any phone, but then it will only use the T-Mobile network. And the way it works best is when it's combining T-Mobile, Sprint, and Wi-Fi all together. Yeah, no, 60 gigs is great. This is the email or the text message I get from AT&T every month. Your data use has reached, in this case, the most recent 16.5 gigs. If you exceed 22 gigs before your next cycle, you can still use unlimited data. However, you will have reduced speed. So 3 times as much as what AT&T futilely asks me to stop using data at, for which I laugh in their face.
Amazon announced the top 20 cities under consideration for its second North American headquarters. I won't name them all, but cities include Los Angeles, Miami, New York City, Pittsburgh, Toronto, Ontario, and Washington, D.C. So the company will now start working directly with those cities on their proposals to figure out which ones make the cut. Amazon expects to make its decision by the end of the year and invest $5 billion in the new headquarters with up to 50,000 high-paying jobs added. Yeah, interesting to know Toronto, the only non-U.S. city. They took applications from Mexico, Canada, and the U.S., and the rest of these are
kind of a list of the biggest metro regions, right? Like Northern Virginia and Montgomery County are both around Washington, D.C., which also got in there on its own.
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing that stood out to me is, Montgomery County, Northern Virginia, and Washington, D.C., which is basically them playing all those state governments and city government of D.C. against each other to say, well, we could come to this region and it's going to deal with people from your area. Do you want to give us the tax breaks, or do you want to see that go to your neighbor? Should we choose you? The other big things that popped out to me are just that, this is a lot of the biggest metro areas in general. Dallas, I still think is probably one of the most popular ones, considering if you look at the most populated cities, both Dallas and Fort Worth are in the top 20. That is a very, very big populous area.
Yeah. I would put my money on Boston looking at this list.
East Coast would make sense because you would think if you're going to build another headquarters, you don't want to necessarily do it on the exact same coast. And the other element of DC is that it's a lot of where internet backbone is. So if there is some
also, I want to know 50,000 high-paying jobs sounds great. What's that mean?
Up to 50,000 and high paying, according to whom? There are questions.
High paying as compared to.
We are assuming,
okay, but
they're these would be tech jobs in the way that they're high paying in the way that people in Austin and San Francisco and Portland and Seattle understand.
That's a fair point. Amazon's not building a warehouse, right? Yeah, and those jobs tend to be lower paying. Those are the jobs that are controversial a lot of the time. Hey, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes or less, be sure to subscribe to Daily Tech Headlines. You can get it on the Amazon Echo, on the Google Home, and on the Anchor app, as well as an RSS podcast available anywhere that respects the openness of RSS. And you can find that link at dailytechheadlines.com. Hey, is that a mailbag you have there, sir?
Actually, it is. So we were talking yesterday. We had somebody write in about the fact that he was having trouble getting Daily Tech Headlines to play on his Google Home. And so we were like, okay, well, what has to happen behind the scenes on our end? Andrew wrote in saying, adding the word podcast at the end of my request actually worked, which is what I had suggested because I was doing the same thing with my Sonos One when I wanted to listen to headlines. Andrew says, it's still kind of weird though, because if I want to listen to the regular DTNS show, I don't need to use the word podcast. I guess I need to apologize to Google Assistant for the previous profanity-laden attempts. More importantly, after the show today, did a little digging into my Google Home settings. There is a new feature, at least not one that I noticed before, that allows you to pick news briefings from various reports. DTH, Daily Tech Headlines, is listed under English US, but not under English AU, meaning Australia.
All right. I'll take a look and see if there's anything we can do about that in our settings to make it easier, but good to know. And
settings with the big...
Not a perfect science. AI.
Good problem solving there, Sarah.
Thank you. Speaking of problem solvers, Justin Robert Young is with us every Thursday. Justin, we missed you while you were in Japan. Sounds like you had a good time. And let folks know what you're up to. I don't know, since we saw you last.
Oh, well, you want to know what, folks? You can go ahead and listen to my politics podcast at politicspolitics.com and as well as anywhere that you get a podcast. Just go ahead and type in politics. You're gonna see a big cockatiel in a suit, although that won't be there forever. We're changing the art. Also, if you are in the Bay Area, March 1st at the Piano Fight Theater, 7:30, there is going to be a live show featuring me, a Politics live show. We are going to do something that has never been done. We'll do it live right there in the theater. The 2018 sex scandals bracket. So like a certain kind of madness that happens during March.
Sure.
Legally say because of copyright.
Sure.
Will
Yes.
we will have all the famous federal sex scandals separated into various different divisions. It's going to be an absolute blast.
Now, are these historical or just this year? Because you could do it either way, I think.
Oh, no. There is a president, a revered president that is entangled in one of the wildest sex scandals I had ever heard. I did not know it, and I am a freak about this kind of stuff. It will be discussed at length during that show. I guarantee you that the vast majority of the crowd will have no idea that a revered president was wrapped up in something so scandalous.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Do you?
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. We haven't talked about it before, but I think I do.
Tell you what,
If I had to make a 2018 prediction, I would, but I'm not going to ruin it for you.
So Piano Fight. Piano Fight is where just go ahead and Google that. It is in San Francisco, and it is on March 1st, a Thursday. So a little Thursday afternoon. If you're in the surrounding area, you have plenty of time to get into the city to come see the show.
St. David's Day, in case that helps you remember. Hey, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. You can submit stories to vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Our Facebook group is popping at facebook.com/group/dailytechnewsshow. And our Patreon is climbing. Keep it up, folks. We want to see just how many more patrons we can get over last year. We need your help to do it. If you are already a patron, convince someone who isn't. And if you're not, give us $1. It's $1. 5 cents a day at patreon.com/DTNS.
If you have questions, comments, feedback, anything, we'd love to hear it. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com is our email address. We are live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 21:30 UTC at elfgeekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And to catch up on everything we're up to, dailytechnewsshow.com.
We'll be back tomorrow with Rob DeMillo and Len Peralta. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Boom. So not Kennedy, not Clinton.
No.
Is it a recent post-war World War II president?
I will tell you that he was the president during the 20th century.
Oh.
So I'm not wrong yet.
You're not
Okay.
wrong
All
yet.
right, so you're not wrong yet. It's not so 20th century. Yeah, okay. All right.
So yeah. The
So
19
not Millard Fillmore.
the 1900. No, beloved.
Oh no! Not.
So not Nixon. Got it.
Not Nixon.
Did we all like them on their election buttons?
I mean, it's not Dwight Eisenhower.
Okay.
No.
All right. Well, first of all, Sarah, I know you have the link. Oh, you got the link? The links are in there. Never mind.
What do you need?
For the SoftBank thing, we didn't have a link in the show notes.
Oh,
But now they're like,
I'm sorry.
links.
I thought I put it in there.
There's like a bunch of links in there.
Well, the one that I pulled
Right.
from was
Ye-
from the
that works.
Financial Times. Let me throw that in there.
Cool. And Roger, what are we calling this show?
Now you're playing with power, cardboard power. Get it? Nintendo powered cardboard, almost magical cardboard. Blessed by Spotify. Arts Crafts Nintendo. Bitcoin a bit down. Spotify builds a wall and makes podcasters pay for it.
Sounds funny.
What's let's see. Pop-up tech. Get it. Crypto crashes. No UI for podcasts. YouTube turns the tide on Tide. $70 cardboard.
What is going on Forbes?
Microsoft's booty.
Microsoft's booty.
It's legitimately the man's name. Let's, what do you guys like? What do y'all like?
Like, I liked your playing with power, cardboard power. Pretty good.
Roll Tide.
Roll tide, roll. Why don't you fold your
No,
laundry?
don't encourage the kids.
No.
We'll make it incredibly eye-catchy and appealing, so people think it's like fun.
I kind of like now you're playing with cardboard power, or
That's
Nintendo
good.
cardboard.
Yeah. I also, as a runner-up, I like throwing Legos at Daddy's head.
That's pretty dope.
Not just Legos; it's a lot of things.
Sure.
She's got she's got a real arm on her.
Have you
More
put the
so
radar
than
down?
I would have imagined at this age.
She got that 110-mile-an-hour fastball yet?
See, I never grew up playing catch or baseball, so it's like to me. Like I don't have that reference.
Yeah.
Okay, but you know what
too much on the.
No, I know what you mean, but like
this is the thing, Roger. I'm not expecting you to go, oh, you mean Michael Kopech. I'm expecting you to go like, no, she's not throwing that fast yet.
No, Tom, I don't think she'll ever throw that fast.
Oh, that's why.
You
Ew.
and your athletic references.
You and your athletic. They're not references to the Oakland A's.
If she does any activities, I want something indoors. I don't want to sit outside when it rains or something.
Well, what about swimming?
Yeah,
Usually
like
often done indoors, but athletic.
Yeah. It'd be volleyball, like just you're protected from the elements when I'm waiting to,
Mm-hmm.
You got to pick them up.
Yeah. You're like, no baseball, no soccer.
Nothing that's sitting in the sun, sucking on a water bottle.
Basketball's good. That's indoors.
Yeah, basketball's good.
Band.
I don't know if people do ultimate frisbee indoors.
What about coding? What about labo competitions? Those are going to happen.
I could totally see it.
Yeah, I could too.
I mean, that's the other thing about Labo is, man, they can rapid prototype, right? Like as fast as they can come up with it and run it off, get it to market.
And they can say it's a green product. So what do you do when it breaks? Well, you just turn it into compost.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first thing. The first thing that, like, when I saw it, I'm like, oh man, this is like Nintendo's play at like Goldie Blocks or something like that. Like the feel good way that you can buy your kid a Nintendo perhaps-style.
Yeah.
Well, it's it's one of the few electronic toys that's still a toy and not like a an education system or something where you got to buy all this.
Or it's not an ecosystem. What you're saying, although it could become one pretty quickly.
Also, it's the first time that those slide out controllers seemed like anything other than really dumb gimmicks to me.
No, I know, right? It's like, it's actually pretty smart.
Because before it's like, oh no, you should play Mario with the crazy controllers and shake to do some really simple thing that you can do with a button.
I'll tell you, if this works out for them, they're going to come out with a board game, like where they'll have like a giant board game, and then the Wii, or not the Wii, the Switch interface becomes like the game master. There was a game a long time ago from Milton Bradley called the Dark Tower. It was kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons style board game. You had a big electronic obelisk tower in the middle, and that would tell you what happened to your character. Instead of rolling dice, you would press a button. It would tell you what would happen, and you would move your characters along the board. That would be pretty cool. And then they can integrate the AR.
Look, I think it's really kind of outside the box thinking for them to create something where their main system is an accent and not the center of it.
No, I know I saw it. I just saw it. This is the first I heard of it. Was this morning, and I was like, "Holy crap! This is the most brilliant thing they've done."
Yeah, and also it's Nintendo at their best, doing something that, hey, Xbox and PlayStation, you can't do this. You're a gigantic block of circuits, you big old bag of bolts.
What about price though? Like, you have to buy a Switch, and then you got to buy this $70 or $80 thing. Like,
No, watch. There's going to be knockoff versions. Like,
you
there's
still got to buy the Switch though. Like, this is not equivalent to Lego and Goldie Blocks in initial outlay.
no, but it is similar to Lego Mindstorms because Mindstorms is part.
But not just Lego.
But the great thing is, like, it's a toy that's perfect for any age, right? If it's a little really younger kid, you can do the cardboard thing, and if someone wants to play a Splatoon or something, you can do that. It actually makes it a much more versatile toy. Actually, I think they might not have understood this, but being able to take the game device away from the TV, it's still part of the TV when you need it, makes it super, super flexible in using it in different forms, as we just saw today.
It's pretty rad. I actually got to remember to make sure mine's charged for the flight tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. What do you play on board? Like when you're no longer connected to Wi-Fi?
I'll probably play. I'll bring Mario and Mario Kart, or maybe I'll download the newer Zelda DLC and play that. Those are the only 3 games I have, though. So,
can you imagine they come out with a Mario Kart cardboard cart, like you just sit in it, but it's like you
I'll tell you what,
put it together. You just like
they have those. Those real life Mario Karts. In where was it? Not Shibuya. In Harajuku, where they're just like riding around with all dressed up like Mario and Bowser and Toad and everything. Like pretty dope. Although I'll tell you what, you could network. Ooh, man, that would be cool. You could like sit on the floor and do Mario Kart where you were like actually physically throwing. Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah, you could put things. Yeah, it would be great. Like if they could come with a series of low cost accessories, like the like an Amazon button, right? But you just put a simple accelerometer on it and an ID chip.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at what they're doing with the robot game, right? Like they just have a resistance thing, and that's what's signaling to the Switch, which is in your face. What it's doing, but there's no reason why you couldn't have that exact setup, but you're sitting on the floor and you're playing Mario Kart.
What if it's meant to sit inside of a box, right? So kids often like to play in big boxes that, like, huge ovens or something comes in. What if it's like kid already has a box they want to sit in, pop this thing on the edge, and now that box has become their Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Or, and this is a great thing, it could be like, oh, it's your rocket ship. It's like, it's
totally.
Like whatever you want to do. It's your time machine. And this is it's really brilliant. The more you look at it, how multifaceted it is.
Your accounting office,
Yeah. I mean, because the video game wars for the longest time were like spec wars. My chip's faster than yours. I have better graphics. I have this. And really, what it came down to is like, how much fun can I have?
Well, yeah,
with this product.
Nintendo tapped out of that game past the 64. Like even with GameCube, it was like, no, we're not going to play the Butter Battle Book escalation game.
Well, what's fascinating is that, like, with the exception of the Wii, which really worked, I mean, it kind of got to a plateau where it just kind of stopped being that. It just felt very gimmicky, where all the non-first party games that were rolled out were really just there to take advantage of the idea of the Wii without actually exploiting it. And I think if this works and other people can do it as well, and Nintendo isn't too tight-fisted about control, I mean, you could have a whole host of things that, like events totally surrounded, where it's not just maybe a video game, but it's like an event, like a shared experience where everyone logs onto their Switch and they can go visit Mars when the next probe lands. That would have been cool. That would have been cool.
Man, it's taken a long time to export today's show, which I assume is because we have so much great information in it.
Yeah.
It's hard to squeeze.
Good bits.
Plus, it's that new logo.
Uh-oh.
What? What are you out-owing about?
Oh, like did the logo cause it to slow down?
No, I was trying to say the logo is so awesome that.
No, not
too much good for it to handle.
Oh, careful! You might. I think is that phrase still trademarked?
What? Too much good?
Too much good stuff. That was AM PM. Remember they used to run those ads.
I don't remember that.
Too much good stuff was their.
I remember that.
No, I do. Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
You're like, is there too much of it?
They have AMPMs inside of Dodger Stadium. I found that kind of not disingenuous, but weird that they have AMPMs in the stadium. They really just sell the same stuff that all the other places.
I want the 7-Elevens that they get in Japan here.
Oh man, wouldn't that be great?
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
So we, like many of us in the modern era, have many cords in not only our living room, but also our studio. And try as we might to wrangle them, they kind of have their own way of just constantly being a super mess. And we recently had some the stuff happen in the living room where we had to like take them out of this little nook that we had hidden them in. So I got this idea in the gig economy that we live in. If I were to look on like TaskRabbit for a professional cord gather installer, like a cord
killer.
Yeah, a killer of cord. Like, what would I look for? Like, what would even be like a line of work where that would happen beyond like studio engineer?
What about like a home theater installer?
Ooh, maybe that's it.
Something along those lines.
Because that I feel like that's something that I would never think about, because I always think of like home theater or television installer as being like just for like total Luddites who have no idea like what a plug is.
Right. But they probably are pretty good with the cable management.
That it's certainly good enough to at least ask.
Are you trying to manage your cables?
So we bought all this cable management stuff, and I was like, man, I would love to just look into like what it would cost to have a professional do this, because like I've done it a million times and it always falls apart and I kick it by accident and I know I'm not doing something right, and I'm sure there's some book on like 1,000 ways to properly corral your cords or something that I just haven't read. But I don't know, like
what cords do like for mobile? It really depends on application. Like, are you talking about the cords to your TV? Are you talking about cords?
So imagine just the back of a home theater that has a television, a modem, a router, an Apple TV, a Roku, and a switch on it, right? Then we have to have a hardwired Ethernet cord come all the way through the apartment into the studio, so our main PC is hardwired in and not on Wi-Fi. And then, of course, there's everything in the studio, which is this gigantic board and all the mic cables and all that kind of stuff.
You can email Robert Heron or Patrick.
Just ask Robert to do it. He'd do it for you.
He does that stuff, sort of.
It's not a widely applicable recommendation, but it might work for Justin.
Patrick is also really big on cord management too. Patrick Norton.
That's true. Patrick might have some ideas about how to look.
We used to do one of those segments every year on Texilla.
Oh! I got some breaking news, you guys. Breaking news. This just in from the DTNS store. It is, in fact, a Born Ready
onesie.
I was going to say, he said it was onesie. Okay, there's a DTNS tote bag. Check that out. That's new.
Go to the store in style.
But he said that there was
You
a
got to
onesie.
tote some around. Everybody does.
If you go to the Born Ready DTNS shirt, there is now a onesie option for 6, 12, 18, and 24 months and newborn.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Fancy.
I mean, you're just lighting money on fire buying it for a newborn, right? Like that'll last like 2 days.
Yeah, seriously.
You know what? Unless you plan on clothing your child in old newspapers and blankets, you have to buy clothes or.
Oh sure, yeah, but you should just buy the value pack at Walmart, right? Like,
it's one of those things that they're not too pricey, actually.
Oh really?
Yeah, like unless you go for like a designer brand like Juicy or something. So they start charging.
Nice work, bucks. Dave Michael. Getting that in the store. That's one of those things where like Rich Straffolino jokingly is like, hey, is there a Born Ready onesie this morning in Slack to me? I'm like, I don't know. There should be. So I'm like, well, I'll ask Dave. I'm like, Dave, you ever do onesies? He's like, I totally do a onesie. Give me a day. And then less than a day. Boom. It's up there.
All right. Any final words for the audience on the live stream?
No, you guys are the best. Thank you. Have a lovely Thursday.
If anyone wants a little onesie, send us your size. We'll think about it.